Yes. Good evening. So today we are going to discuss police reforms in India. So till now we have discussed, in my previous lectures I have discussed police administration, administration of law and order, the significance of police administration in the context of any society, democracy, polity. Then we discussed the course of evolution of police administration in India since ancient period to medieval and modern period, how police administration was developed, institutions were developed on modern European lines during the British period, and it was developed as an instrument, institutional instrument in furtherance of the cause of in furtherance of colonial and imperial interest. Thereafter, I discussed what contributes, what has contributed, or what contributes to the law and order challenges and problems in our country. Then, what are the problems of police administration, internal and external problems and challenges. We also discussed constitutional setting, constitutional and legal setting of police administration. So constitutional provisions for constitutional provisions regarding police and law and order, union list, state list, and concurrent list. We have discussed all such things, overall police administration and various dimensions of it. Now come to police reform. This is one of the most important subject matter of debate and discussion in the academic world of public administration, and generally is a part of political discourse of the country as well. Not so, it has not been taken so seriously, but it has always been discussed about, because so many committees and commissions in the past, committee and commissions have been appointed giving recommendations regarding police reforms in India, but unfortunately those recommendations have not been implemented to the extent it was required. Most of them have kept on gathering dust, more particularly because of political reasons. One thing that you need to remember, there's a matter of principle, that those who derive net advantage from the existing situation, those who derive net advantage from the existing situation in any dimension aspects of life, they do not support reforms, or they very often they are found to be inhibiting the process of reforms. So to some extent it is applicable to police administration. So if police reforms have not taken place, your police administration is not taken in much high esteem by the society. This is too much I am saying. In fact, there is so much of distrust and lack of confidence. People do not have so much of confidence in police administration. There is a lot of distrust in the relationship between police administration on the one hand, society on the other. So as far as police administration is concerned, reforms have been very slow, or in many cases we don't see any substantive or a kind of concrete reformatory measures taken by central state government in this regard. Although this is a subject matter of state list, police and public order, this is a subject matter of state list, but central government too has a very important role to play in police reforms. So more particularly when it comes to enact appropriate laws or to bring changes in the Police Act 1861, or for that matter providing one other kind of institutional support to the state governments, so that they could improve their police administration to the benefit of society. So both central government and state governments have an important role to play in bringing reforms in police administration. So converting or transforming your police from just an agency to enforce law to an agency which is truly imbued with democratic principles and values, which is citizen friendly, and which is capable of working in synchronization with society to deal with law and order challenges and the problems, and to maintain peace and harmony. So to bring this kind of transformation, we need to work hard on different aspects of police administration. So whenever we think of reforms, we talk about reforms, police reforms or political reforms, or for that matter, judicial reforms, so civil services reforms. Whenever we talk about reforms, it means that there is a gap. There is a disjunction between what is being done by that institution and what is being expected by the society. So if there is a gap, that gap has to be filled. And reforms, by its very nature, is not something which has a destinational value, that once you have pursued reforms it's over. No, it is an ongoing process. Why it is an ongoing process? Because institutions are nothing but more organized and disciplined and purposeful expression of human behavior and society only. You can say organization is nothing, an institution is nothing but a society institutionalized with some definite goals and purpose, and what comes out in front of you as an institution. And we know that human beings and society, they are dynamic beings. They are dynamic beings. They are not mechanical entities. Constantly we are evolving. Our environmental conditions constantly changing. Environmental conditions are changing very fast, and we as a society, as an individual, group or community, we are constantly evolving. So how can there be an institution or any institution, whether it is related to police or some other related to some other subject matter? No institution can afford to remain static. So we are evolving. Our institutions established by us are also evolving. We affect and we get affected. Okay, and whenever there is some kind of mismatch takes place, like environmental conditions changing very fast, and in the same pace, with the same pace, if institutions are not adapting, if they are not changing their structural or behavioral, the profile or operational domain and the nature and pattern of response, if institutions do not reflect those changes, do not synchronize with changes taking place in the environmental conditions, friction and conflict takes place. This is the case of police administration. If there is any institution of the government, which has seen the list of reforms, one of those institutions is police administration. So we have seen reforms elsewhere, but police administration still carries more or less the burden of colonial legacy of the past. So it is carrying, and for that, political part successive governments can be held responsible by simply replacing IPC and CRPC, by replacing those obsolete laws and laws by the BNS and Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita or Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita is a welcome measure, but this is just a small portion of the much wider scope of reforms related to police administration. When we talk about entire criminal justice system, one of the components is law and the legal system, which is required to be brought in sync with the contemporary realities, which has been done to some extent, but this is not going to affect much the overall performance of police administration. Still, there is a lot of distrust, lack of confidence, which define the relationship between police and the public. On the other hand, so that's why reforms are required. So then more particularly, why do we need reforms? Why do we need police reforms? So there are historical reasons, and then there are various organizational, institutional reasons. Already a lot many things have been discussed in my previous lectures, but still I would like to just briefly review the things. So we need reforms. Why? Because police administration, this police administration that we have today, this police administration designed on modern European lines during the British period, the police administration was designed during the British period, keeping uppermost in mind the interest of the British government. Their colonial or imperial interest was supreme, and accordingly they designed police administration, and they developed police administration as an instrument of deterrence, instrument of coercion. Yeah, so as to execute the orders and the command of that the government at the top, which was least bothered and concerned with the interest of people at large. It was not citizen-friendly police. It was not for the public at large. This police was merely there to maintain law and order, so that the sustained exploitation of resources inspired by the ideology of colonialism, that sustained exploitation of resources could be continued. The police administration could be used to suppress any kind of public upheaval, any kind of revolution or kind of movement. So the police, which was developed as an instrument of coercion, how could that police administration How could that police administration be continued after independence of the country, when India becomes a modern democratic welfare state? So what was designed during the British period, what was designed in the British period was suitable for them, but instrument of oppression that instrument of oppression could hardly be fruitful, or could hardly be successful in a modern democratic welfare state. So that's why, although we have continued more or less with the same structure, but founding fathers, they were of the expectation that gradually in the course of time, political leadership would bring desirable changes in the legal system within the bounds of which police functions, and appropriate changes will be brought in structural or behavioral or procedural dimensions of police administration, and overall, the institutional response will be improved qualitatively, and institutions will be brought in sync with the principles and values of democracy, the democratic ethos, something like this. It was expected, but unfortunately, that did not happen. Developments took place, reforms took place to some extent. It was just a cosmetological changes that some states have amended, have brought certain changes in the Police Act 1861, or they have enacted some new legislation. But overall, if you see the structure of police administration and the procedure, overall, the process which they follow, overall their nature and contained pattern of response to law and order problems and challenges, these things have remained largely unchanged. They have, or in better to say, we have not witnessed change and reforms to the extent required. There is a huge gap, and that gap has to be breached. This is something that gives birth to the debate and discussion on police reforms, because police administration has a very important role to play in any society. So whether you talk about monarchical form of governmental polity or democratic form of government and polity, whatever be the nature of government, the first requirement is that the law governing rights and obligations of individual groups and communities, those laws should be enforced properly with discipline. So law has to be enforced with due consistency and regularity. That creates, an environment, that creates a conducive environment within the bounds of which, with that stability only, you can think of change and development. So there is a direct link between growth and development of society and overall security conditions prevailing in that society. And when it comes to bring security, when it comes to bring stability, the significance or importance of law enforcement agencies or police can hardly be or emphasized. Then we need reforms. Why? Because police administration carries some burden of you can say carries some burden of the past. They're still continuing with certain trends, certain pattern, which we need to do away with, because India is now a modern democratic welfare state. Then we need to work on level of the professional competence of our police administration, professional competence. Then we need to work on the political interference which keep taking place. So we need police reforms. Why? Because there are some institutional limitations emanating from the past. Then we have a lot of political interference in the functioning of police administration. Political interference or political dominance very often cripple the efficiency and the professional competence of police administration. Then we have procedural complexities. Then there's a problem of efficiency. There's a problem of police-public relationship, because organizations and institutions cannot be visualized as a separate and distinct entity away from society. No, every institution and organization is deeply embedded in society. It affects and gets affected. So therefore, police administration in any society, any country in the world, can never be successful without support from the public it serves, the people it serves. So there has to be a relationship based on trust and confidence. But unfortunately, this is not the case. So too much of politicization of police, too much of criminalization of police. Then you have procedural complexities. Then you have lack of institutional competence. Then you have too much of political interference in the police administration. Then number of intra-institutional problems of police administration. You talk about structure, you talk about technique, method and process which they follow. You talk about tools, as it's the same thing that I said, tool, technology or techniques, which therefore many things have become obsolete, or they are not so much in sync with the contemporary trends. So you cannot afford to live in isolation. You have to keep pace with the reforms taking place in different aspects of life and different institutions. Otherwise, you will become a mismatch. You will become a misfit in the overall ecological setting. So that's why police, the police reforms is required. One more thing, then police administration is mainly concerned with maintenance of law and order to deal with the challenges and problems pertaining to internal security. But the overall scene and situation of internal security today, when we talk about internal security, the nature, content, orientation, scope of this problem has undergone a lot of changes. So by ordinary policing, by traditional pattern of response, one cannot deal with the security challenges emanating from different parts of the country, anti-national and anti-social elements, then disintegrative forces in the form of Naxalism or terrorism, then cybercrime, then crime against women and children, lot many things are there, then drugs abuse, and lot many things are going on. So these problems are not ordinary problems. There is a kind of, in the world of crime also, we have seen a kind of global local nexus, that the crime takes place in one of the districts here in one state or that state, and once you examine the things, once you start investigation, you find that those who perpetrated the crime were actually not the real culprits. Those who perpetrated the crime, they were just executing the things, but entire scene situation was being controlled by somebody sitting outside the country. So global local nexus related to security problems, challenges, problems, etc. So all such things are required to be taken care of by ordinary policing, and by ordinary on traditional pattern of response. Police administration can hardly deal with the complex dynamics of security challenges in contemporary times. Disintegrative forces, anti-national elements are very much active, and they keep developing new technique, method and process, so as to destabilize the country. And so as to, and we have seen in the last 3-4 years, you'll find that things are changing very fast. It means developments are taking place in our country, but things are being orchestrated from somewhere else. So problems related to money laundering or smuggling or these and that, and then you have, and these days they are using tools and kits. So tools and kits are used so as to destabilize the society. So you have anti-social elements in our country, and they are working in tandem and nexus with with our enemies, with the enemies of our country sitting somewhere else, and they are orchestrating things, and this cannot be dealt with by the police simply by the strength of the manual force, strength of the number of policemen. You have to apply tools, techniques, method, process, lot many things are there. You have to make best use of modern technology and equipments, and for that matter instruments, and all such things which are associated with cyber security. So police infrastructure too has to be brought to a level where from things could be taken care of properly. So that's why police reforms, the scope of police reforms is very broad. So you have to work on a structural aspect of organization broadly. First of all, if we are talking about police reforms or judicial reforms, when we talk about institutional reforms, so you can apply certain tools of analysis which has universal relevance. So you talk about police reforms or judicial reforms in the context of any organization. First of all, scope of reforms has to be understood broadly in two aspects: internal, and then you have external. So first of all, internal. When we talk about reforms in the context of institution, focus on internal matter. So every institution is functioning under some kind of law, remember, and every law has a context of time and place. Every law has a context of time and place. It means ultimately with police administration, or for that matter any institution, it has to function within the bounds of law. If the law has become obsolete, police administration is functioning in 2025 on the basis of or within the bounds of a law which was enacted in 1861. So I don't need to explain much. The first limitation has to arise from here, has to emanate from here only. So we have to work on, in the context of any institution, when you talk about reforms, always focus on the law within the bounds of which it is functioning, because law sets that environmental setting. That law defines power, authority, jurisdiction, operational domain. Lot many things are there. So first of all, the law has to be taken care of. It has to be brought in sync with contemporary realities, requirements of the time. Or if the law has become obsolete, there is nothing wrong in replacing this law by a new law which is appreciative or accommodative of the present problems and challenges, and which has adequate means and mechanism to deal with the problems which are likely to arise in future. So if required, the first of all, work on legal system, then come to the institution. In the institution, when we talk about reforms, there can be a structural dimension. The institution, the police administration, the structure of police administration. Then we have to focus on the procedural dimension, the procedural aspect, the procedure that police administration, it means the procedure which are followed by various departments and functionaries. So policemen, the police officials, and then departments, you have to follow certain rules and procedures so as to bring an element of regularity, discipline, and predictability in your behavior. And then you have the third dimension, that is of behavior, administrative behavior. So when we talk about reforms, begin with law, and then you have to, broadly I am talking about it, and then you can see here what is being suggested. So you have to work on the structure, how power, authority is dispersed, centralization or decentralization, because excess of centralization and excess of decentralization, both of them can be dangerous. Too much of power, authority at the top, and comparatively lesser amount of responsibility, or too much of responsibility at the base and the lack of commensurate authority, both of them can be dangerous. So it has to be dispersed properly. Then how many levels are there in the hierarchy? That has to be taken note of. Then what kind of procedure you are following, the rules and procedures. So whether within the organization, the appointment, promotion, the transfer, the placement, all such things are taking place. What kind of rules and procedures you are following? Are they based on subjective whims and fancies, or rules are applied subjectively, or rules and procedures have been developed on scientific lines and they are truly impersonal in nature? Then what kind of tools, technique, method, process, technology is being used within that organization and institution? This is also one of the aspects. And the third one is behavior is very, very important. That in this organization, the policeman, suppose in police administration, so policemen from top to bottom, policemen and officials are top there, level of morale, motivation, the leadership or decision making, what kind of communication takes place, all such things hold a lot of significance. Their training affects the level of morale and motivation. What are the service conditions? So service conditions will have implications for the level of morale, motivation, commitment, and efficiency. So within the organization, you have to deal within the organization. I'm not talking about external environment. So when I talk about reforms, we have to focus on a structural aspect, procedural aspect, and these are the broad three dimensions, and then behavioral aspect. So those who are working in administration, the human beings I am talking about, the level of morale, motivation, a degree of commitment to the law, the legal system at the top. Point is clear. Then what kind of service conditions, the level of training, quality of their training, which will have implications for efficiency. Then tool, technique, method, process, logistics, then physical infrastructure, technological infrastructure, all such things put together. Decide and determine the overall institutional competence. And then performance of any organization depends not only on what it does possess or it does not possess. This can be only one of the many things. What kind of environment it has been placed in. If too much of political interference is taking place, political interference is taking place, criminalization or politicization, something like this, then what kind of society you have within the bounds of which police administration is functioning. So policemen, those who are serving this institution and the society, what kind of society they come from? They carry the value system of society into the institution's value system. They carry that value system into the society and affect the organization's value system. So external environment and internal structure, procedure and behavior, and then you come to external environment, political interference which is taking place. So you need to reforms means that you have to insulate police administration against political interference. Then you have to improve police and public relationship. You have to create a multi-member body. not within, but outside the organization, a multi-member body, some board, some commission, so as to deal with the problems related to providing policy guidelines, and then at the same time dealing with the transfer, promotion of the police officers, so that they remain free, or they remain protected against any kind of subjective directions, or any kind of the directions from the political leadership inspired by narrow political interest, to the detriment of the larger interest of society and the police as an institution. So broadly, you have to work on the three things. Then you have to work on law, you have to work on police public relationship, you have to work on police and political leadership relationship between the two, clear, and then you have to deal with society. So you need some staff agency, bodies of experts, so as to give you recommendations and to give advice, so that efficiency of police administration could be improved. And apart from this, there are a lot many things. You go for the comparative study, you learn many things from the experiences of other countries, and you bring accordingly you bring changes. Then police reforms alone is not enough. It must be accompanied by judicial reforms, it must be accompanied by political reforms. So when we talk about reform, the scope is very broad. It is not just about giving police officials and the better equipments, or better instruments, or better training, or better salary, remuneration package, or service conditions. All such things constitute only one of the various dimensions, and unless all such dimensions are adequately taken care of, okay, so limitations associated with one will have adverse implications for the other two. What I mean to say, even if you bring changes, if you rationalize the structure of police administration, the structure of the police administration is brought on scientific line, procedures are adequately taken care of, simplified procedure, but you are not working on the level of morale or motivation. You are not working on police leadership. So you never work on police leadership. Do you know something like police leadership in our country these days? The police leadership, the police at the top, police readily submits to the directions given by the political leadership, howsoever unlawful, howsoever morally deficient it may be. This is the reality of most of the states. So we need to work on that. Even if you work very effectively on non-human component, if human component is not adequately taken care of, their behavior, their pattern of response, their moral and ethical standards, the means and mechanism for the enforcement of accountability, if all such aspects are not taken care of, then overall response of police administration will be deficient. In terms of performance, it will be deficient. This is the problem. So internal, and then you deal with the external problems. Remember one thing, performance of any organization, you talk about police administration, you talk about the political leadership, you talk about secretariat or directorate or judiciary, whatever institution you talk about, the overall performance is the outcome of what is going on inside the organization and what kind of environment it has been placed. So performance, good or bad performance is not the direct outcome of intrinsic worth or value of that institution, what it does possess. No, the performance of any institution or organization is the net effect of internal as well as external attributes, the settlement between the two, institutional capacity and competence of that organization, and what kind of environmental conditions it has been placed in. If institutional capacity is very high, they are professionally very much competent, well trained, best of the tools, technique, method, process, technology, and the environmental conditions is also very much conducive, excellent performance. Or otherwise, there can be a case that police administration has largely been improved, but they are working in a particular environment which is very much discouraging. A lot of interference takes place. So to a great extent, or there will be a huge gap between what they are capable of, what they are actually doing. So potential response and performance and actual performance, there will be a gap between the two. They were capable of doing lot many things, but they are doing much less than that. So when we think of reforms, we need to develop a holistic view of the entire subject matter and case. Inside the organization, what is happening, and then what kind of environment it has been placed in. So whenever we think of reforms, the scope should be broad. And we should develop an integral view. into a holistic view of that institution and how it is placed in that environmental setting. This should be the basis of reforms. And much earlier, the government of India, central government and state governments, they became aware of the necessity to bring police reforms. But unfortunately, it remained only on the papers. So for police reforms, initiatives were taken by the government, but any very profound, or you can say very substantive reforms still missing. Okay, so one after another, various committees have been constituted. These committees were constituted. There are many committees and commissions which were appointed in the past, and they gave recommendations to the government, central government and state government. But unfortunately, most of them have kept on gathering dust. And reforms. So in some important developments which have taken place in the area of police reforms, the committees and the recommendations which they made is something that that I have made a sequence of that. So you have a National Police Commission, you have Ribeiro Committee, you have Padmana Bhaiya Committee, and uske baad Malibhat Committee, and then Model Police Act and second administrative reforms. So there are so many committees and commissions, but I am focusing on those which are very much important and which played a very important role. But on the paper, developments have taken place largely on the paper. To some extent, some changes, reforms have been brought, but there has not been any substantive or you can say any substantive reforms in sync with the intent and purpose reflected by these committee members. What they actually wanted has not happened. Okay, and why it has not happened is a matter of, again, debate and discussion. Successive governments have failed to do so. And one more thing that I discussed, that's replacement of, never think that replacement of IPC and CRPC by BNS and BNSS also. It deals only with one of the various aspects of police reforms. That is not enough. And good, this is a welcome development, but it fails to deal with the full scope of the problem. Laws have been brought in sync with the contemporary challenges, problems, and to deal with, defined by the contemporary realities. But laws are required to be enforced. Laws are required to be enforced by law enforcement agencies. If they lack that will and professional competence to enforce that law, then ultimate goals cannot be achieved. Our ultimate objective is not law and legal system. However good your law, legal system, institutions, structure, procedure may be. But what is the ultimate test? That have you been able to bring justice to the victims of one or other crimes? Have you been able to bridge that gap, the victim here and justice there? And police administration plays a very important role in the overall criminal justice system. If they fail to take note of this, they are the first one. They are first one to whom people, they are the first one to interact with, the victims. The first one to interact with victims. They come with so much of expectations. And if police investigation is shoddy and police fail to reflect due sensitivity and level of alertness, seriousness, or they fail to respond effectively, then you know very well what will happen to the cause of justice. At the very first instance, they give birth to so many disabilities that the case will fail to reach its logical conclusion. Like a judiciary, however good a judge may be, however effective and efficient judicial system may be, but police investigation, if this is shoddy, if they manipulate with the things, if they fail to convert raw evidences into prosecutable evidences, then nothing will work. So they have a very important role to play. So police reforms is extremely essential. If we really take criminal justice system, if we really want to do justice to the society and we want to improve the criminal justice system, it constitutes the very core content of the overall criminal justice system. So these were the various committees and commissions which were constituted, and if you go through that, their recommendations, you will find, even before I discuss all such points, I want to make certain things clear. What are the commonalities? आप इसको देख के घबराओ मत, बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स इसमें कुछ नहीं, कुछ बेसिक चीजें हैं. मतलब Every committee and commission, is focusing on certain basic things. What are those basic things? First, आप अब देख पाओगे इसमें कि most of them talk about state security council. ये देखो ये हाँ, state security commission. Most of them talking about state security commission. They talk about police establishment board. Police establishment board. Police establishment board. So police establishment board and state security commission, these are common. Then separation of maintenance of law and order and investigation. Okay, this is common. Then improving the quality of police infrastructure. Improving the quality of police infrastructure, better training, better equipments. Okay, they talk about better service conditions, then most of them talk about insulating police administration against undue, undesirable political interference. Why undue? Simply to insulate police administration against political interference. There can be cooperation. They have to work together. Political leadership and administrative leadership, police leadership, they have to work together. But it does not mean there's a difference. Interference is a negative expression. So political interference takes place. It means police authorities and institutions, they fail to work in keeping with the legal mandate. They go beyond that. Sometimes they exercise authority beyond their jurisdiction, and sometimes they do not exercise authority under political motivation, whatever be the case. So most of them have suggested the establishment of establishment of a state security commission, then police establishment board, separation of law and order and investigation. Then they talk about better police public relationship, better training, better police infrastructure, then insulating police administration against political interference, then enforcement of accountability, better developing means and mechanism to enforce accountability of police administration, exercising control and vigilance, something like this. So these are the basic points. And then you see the little bit of difference. One or the two points suggested by one committee was not suggested by the other one. But these are the very common things. In fact, in 2006, in response to the public interest litigation, which was filed by Mr. Pratap Singh, the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, he filed a public interest litigation in 1996 seeking intervention of the court for police reforms. So police from seeking police reforms and seeking direction to central government and state governments to pursue the same. So in 2006, in the landmark judgment of the Supreme Court, while dealing with public interest litigation, Supreme Court issued 7 directives for the central government and state governments. This was in the nature of a suggestion to bring police reforms. 7 directives. There also you will find most of the points have been accommodated. So better training, and as I discussed, that when we talk about reforms, it may be structural aspect, procedural aspect, behavioral aspect, internal environment, and then external environment. All put together come within the bounds of police reforms. Same is the case. And there are the points. You will find that there are certain things we will keep repeating, in the recommendations of various committees. So at the first instance, I would like to define and to explain it so that you don't have any problem. And most of them have focused on State Security Commission. So State Security Commission is contemplated. State Security Commission was contemplated as in every state there should be a State Security Commission as suggested by a National Police Commission. That's a multi-member body where you have a Home Minister, you have Chief Secretary, you have Director General of Police, then you have members of judiciary. It means the sitting or the retired judge of the High Court, then 2 or 3 members, 2 or 3 the distinguished citizens who are not the part of the administration. So it means State Security Commission was contemplated as a multi-member body having representation from the government and then leader of opposition, and then you have a member of judiciary, then you have DGP. Okay, and then you have some distinguished citizens who have capabilities or have some kind of expertise. Okay, but they are not associated with state. So a multi-member body to provide policy guidelines to the police administration to evaluate performance of the police. So State Security Commission was contemplated as a multi-member body to provide policy guidelines and to exercise some kind of vigilance and to evaluate the performance of police, and to insulate police, protect police administration against political interference, to look into such cases so that police officials, police authorities could function with required freedom and autonomy. Point clear? And obviously this was going to affect this should bring a positive result in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. So these were things which were proposed. They're proposed. And some states implemented to some extent, and some states also established Security Commission or the Police Establishment Board. But remember one thing, that some state governments, they followed the recommendations to some extent, but not in a spirit. So on the paper things were there, but the kind of power authority which was to be given, the accountability which was to be enforced, they failed to do so. They're just doing some kind of paperwork that yes, I have established this, and many state governments did not take any initiative. So this is something that you need to understand. So this is a state security. The State Security Commission is a multi-member body. It was contemplated as a multi-member body to provide policy guidelines and to protect police administration against political interference. But Police Establishment Board is not an external body. Police Establishment Board was contemplated as a body within police administration, internal body, Police Establishment Board, to deal with personnel administration, the appointment, the promotion or transfer, the police officials, and ensuring that there is no political interference. So Police Establishment Board was contemplated as a body within the police administration, and whereas State Security Commission is an external body. It's not a part of the police administration, an external multi-member body. Points clear? So this is National Security, State Security Commission, and then Police Establishment Board. ये एक्सटर्नल और ये है इंटरनल, ये याद रखो, ठीक है. देन फिक्स्ड टेन्योर फॉर डीजीपी इन ईच स्टेट, फिक्स्ड टेन्योर सो एज टू अवॉइड रेस्ट्रिक्ट द पॉसिबिलिटीज ऑफ आर्बिट्रेरी ट्रांसफर. कोई इंपॉर्टेंट केस उनके पास आ गया, अब पता है कि इसमें फंस सकते हैं, तो उनका ट्रांसफर कर दिया कभी यहाँ वहाँ, ऐसा नहीं. इसलिए फिक्स्ड टेन्योर फॉर डीजीपी, एक बार बने डीजीपी तो कम से कम 2 साल रहेगी, ऐसा इस ढंग का रिकमेंडेशन था, ठीक है. तो फिक्स्ड टेन्योर फॉर डीजीपी इन ईच स्टेट, देन Police Establishment Board, then professionalism and accountability. I have discussed simple thing, professionalism and accountability. The police administration, police officials functioning in keeping with the requirements of that common legal code, rules, regulations, law, discipline, orderliness, professionalism. That is professionalism, that you conform to your code of conduct, you conform to that legal system, the common legal code, within the bounds of which you have to discharge responsibilities. That professionalism and accountability. Then separation of investigation from law and order. It was recommended separation of investigation for investigation you need a skill different from the maintenance of law and order, because if you do not separate it, the same police officers, policemen, they're dealing with maintenance of law and order or investigation, so investigation will be qualitatively deficient. Investigation is that part of police functions which demand, a different skill, which is a skill which is different from the one required for maintenance of law and order. And if investigation is qualitatively deficient, then what will happen? What will be the chances of any victim getting justice? Because the case will become very weak in front of the judiciary. Evidences are required to be collected. Investigation has to be done properly with all that expertise and that sense of commitment. So we need to develop a special unit dedicated to the cause of investigation. Gradually, over a period of time, they become expert in investigation. So separation of investigation from law and order, then overhauling of police training and police training advisory council is a simple point. Overhauling of the police training. Police training is something. Why police training? Training of civil servants, training of the members in public organization, private organization. Training is something which is required to be done regularly. And after 3, 4, 5 years, if you think that the current situations, circumstances, and the problems, challenges, things have undergone drastic changes, where mere improvement, a little bit of incremental changes in the pattern of training or method of training will not have any positive implications. Then you go for overhauling of the entire training system and module. Clear? Then you have, it is something which has to be done from time to time. Then you have a police training advisory council, simple point. You have a council. Training has to be done on scientific lines. So you need experts giving proper advice how this training module has to be designed, so that you bring out the best from every candidate to the benefit of that candidate and to the benefit of institution, organization, and then society. Then you have modernization and professionalization. A simple point: modernization, and professionalization. So, what is modernization? Just bringing that institutions, various institutions, agencies associated with police administration, to bring them in alignment with the contemporary trends. Okay, so you are following the contemporary, the modern tools, technology, method, and process constantly. You're working, and then research and development activities keep taking place. You go for the comparative study. You're always ready to learn from the experiences of others and to teach others if required. But you keep your system in proper rhythm. You bring your system in proper alignment with the gravity of the problems and challenges you are exposed to. So, modernization of the police force. So it is not only about structure, it is about structure, rules, procedures, behavior, in terms of, and then again, moral and ethical standards which are followed by the institutions and agencies of the police administration and the functionaries. So all around multidimensional changes, so that there is no disjunction between the performance of police and expectation of society, to make them more gender sensitive, to make them to make them citizen friendly in their pattern of response, in their manner of discharging responsibilities. Something so modern police look like police. Ideal police for a modern democratic welfare state. A police which is known less by a top-down approach, a police which is known for working in collaboration with society. We call it community policing. So modernization is not only about better equipments, better weapons, and better logistics. It is not only about the tool, technique, method, process, car, or the van. Or it's not only about that. It is also about a change in the mindset, a gradual transformation, a positive transformation and change, making them suitable for a modern democratic welfare state. Alert, vigilant, very much sensitive and responsive, goal-oriented, very much professional. And obviously, when you are like this, then it will certainly have positive implications for police public relationship based on trust and confidence. Then you have modernization and professionalism. Then accountability mechanism. Accountability means and mechanism to enforce accountability of police officers, policemen, to enforce their accountability. Means and mechanism to ensure that the responsibilities given to them are being discharged properly. The higher the level of accountability, the more the transparency, the higher will be the level of trust and confidence between the police and public. Then improved service conditions. Improved service conditions is directly related to improved service conditions have direct implications for morale and motivation of police. And morale and motivation have direct implications for your performance, or efficiency and effectiveness. So improved service conditions is basically, it has to be designed to ensure that they live not their professional but their social life properly. Improved service conditions. So there is a conjunction between the contribution and satisfaction. They should be made to feel that they are being treated in reasonable and fair manner. That whatever contributions they are making, against that contribution, they are getting adequate rewards, adequate compensation. And when we talk about improved service conditions, it is not only about economic incentives, it is about economic incentives and social incentives. Then possibilities for growth and development in career and lot many other things, so that the potential of every person finds uninhibited expression to his satisfaction and happiness and for the betterment of society. So you have then finally in person, then amendment to CRPC. At that time it was suggested the criminal procedure code, criminal procedure code which was enacted during the British period, it was to be amended. And just imagine, what was suggested in 1977-81, and finally, in 2024, we are so much slow in bringing reforms. It was replaced by IPC, and CRPC was replaced by Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita or Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. All of you know very well. So it was delayed so much. Then impressed money for police stations. So it was suggested that in police station there should be some impressed money so as to deal with, so that they could deal with day-to-day expenditure. The level of dependence on the authorities was to be reduced. Then focus on weaker sections, replacement of Police Act 1861. Simple point. Even today, police administration is largely governed by Police Act, Indian Police Act of 1861. So what was suggested in 1977-81 is yet to be accomplished. Yet to be accomplished. Police Act has to be a structure of the police administration, the authority, power, this office of Director General or IG or Superintendent of Police, the power, authority, the techniques, method, process which they follow. To get extent, things are governed by India. I don't mean to say that police administration is completely governed by 1861. No, to a great extent, it is governed by Police Act 1861. Different states have brought some desirable changes. I have discussed in my previous lecture. Previous lectures I have discussed replacement of Police Act 1861, then mandatory judicial inquiry against police excesses. So it was suggested. So these are if you know these recommendations, and you will find that there is a reflection of more or less same thing in the recommendations given by different committees. Now come to Ribeiro Committee. Things are very much simple. Once I have discussed this, then I just need to mention. Then Ribeiro Committee 1998 State Security Commission. I have discussed State Security Commission and concept. Police Establishment Board, Police Complaint Authorities, Police to enforce accountability. Okay, so in case of any grievances or if anyone, any citizen, any any person find that the police has exercised its authority improperly, either they have not exercised or they have exercised it beyond the jurisdiction, something, then there should be means and mechanism to enforce accountability through Police Complaint Authority. So Police Complaint Authority, simple point, autonomy and professionalism, fixed tenure for police chiefs I have discussed, then separation of investigation and law and order, modernizing police infrastructure. Police infrastructure means that physical asset, that technology, that digital, digital infrastructure, that also comes within the bounds of police infrastructure. Take it, then logistics, all such things come within the bounds of it. Institutions, agencies, the physical asset, then tools or technology, the weapons, everything comes. Then you have the contemporary, the modern gadgets related to AI or what do you think that you know better than me, related to cyber security. Okay, then creating the cyber bringing police stations in a proper coordinated security grid, a kind of a grid of various police stations. So you talk about all such things come within the bounds of police infrastructure that has to be improved. I am dealing with in the contemporary context. So modernizing separation of investigation, police welfare, improve modernizing police infrastructure, then improve training, then police welfare bureau, then accountability and public trust. The higher the level of accountability, the higher will be the level of public trust and confidence. Then you have community policing. Community policing they have discussed. Community policing has to be understood in contraposition to traditional policing. Traditional policing is characterized by top-down approach. Police authority, exercising authority, they are in command and control of things. So they assume the responsibility to control and regulate things, and society, on the other hand, they have to obey the command and order or regulations which are which are enforced by rules and regulations which are enforced by the police administration. So traditional policing has a kind of hierarchical setup. I'm saying a vertical setup, and community policing is about bringing police administration in collaboration with members of the society to improve the performance. So when we talk about community policing, we talk about it is that philosophy or the line of thinking which support that the police administration or police agencies can never be successful unless they get adequate support from the society. So police administration, if required, we should bring adequate changes, appropriate changes in the structure or the manner of functioning to create a space for collaboration with society. So more of a kind of horizontal structure. I don't mean to say that distinct institutional identity of the police administration has to be compromised. No, the same institution and structure, but you create some space to collaborate with the members of the community. And together, in togetherness, you perform much better. You get support from the society. You diagnose the problems in much better way because community members can help police administration in understanding things in much better way, and they can also suggest one other kind of solution. So if you take community in confidence, not only relationship improves, relationship between police, administration and the community, not only the relationship undergoes some kind of improvement based on trust and confidence, overall it brings efficiency and effectiveness in the performance of police administration. Point clear? And with the help of community, you can do policing in a much better way. So you are resorting to policing without letting the community feel that something like policing is taking place. You are policing without letting them know that policing is in progress, because you take them in confidence, you work together. So this is something which is beneficial for the society. You can diagnose the problem in much better way. You can apply correctives in much better way. And to some extent, responsibility is dispersed. When the members of the community, they are involved in the process, they also take a portion of responsibility for maintenance of law and order, and that makes police administration more comfortable and more efficient. They can focus on core areas and the far more substantive areas related to internal security challenges. So community policing is community policing. Then focus on marginalized sections. So be sensitive to weaker underprivileged section of society, and then judicial inquiry in the case of custodial death. So all of them have suggested ways and means to enforce the accountability, to ensure that police remains a police of a democratic state. So therefore, in case of any police excesses, inquiry should be done by the members of the other wing of the government, the judiciary. So judiciary, members of judiciary, they exercising, the control. So judicial inquiry of custodial death, it was suggested. And then Padmana Bhaiya committee, then 2000, then reducing political interference, reducing political interference, then police establishment board, action against police officers approaching politicians, some kind of quid pro quo, give and take. So action should be taken against police officers. Remember one thing, if so much of political interference is taking place, in police administration, don't you think the police leadership is equally responsible? If political interference takes place in police administration, then what the hell DG and commissioners are doing? Police leadership is also responsible. If the police leadership reflected some courage, courage of conviction, the sense of commitment to law, rules, regulation, then it would be difficult for the political leadership to intervene in the internal matters of police administration. मुर्शिदाबाद में कुछ घट रहा है, मुर्शिदाबाद में कोई घटना घट रही है, या बंगाल हो, या फिर आंध्र प्रदेश हो, हैदराबाद हो, या यूपी हो, या बिहार, कहीं भी घटना घट रही हो, तो आपने देखा क्या है, पुलिस मूक दर्शक बन के कई बार बैठी रहती है. ऊपर से जैसा डायरेक्शन होगा पुलिस वैसा काम करेगी. ये सब पॉइंट हम लोग डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. You have action against police officers approaching politicians, improving the condition of constabulary. Improving the service conditions, improvement, not at the top but at the base. They constitute the very foundation of police administration. Police station is the place where people interact with the representative of police administration at the first instance. So that should be the place where you have a kind of environment which generates a lot of, which inspires a lot of confidence in people. But unfortunately, that is not happening, and we have to improve the conditions of constabulary. Those who are at the lower ranks, their service conditions has to be improved. If they are motivated, they are committed, nothing like it. Okay? Most of the problems are resolved there and there only. So you have improved constabulary, and then you have then better training and modernization. I've discussed cyber crime cells, a common thing everybody knows. Then you have increasing women. This is the point which was suggested by Padmana Bhaiya committee. 33% increase in the women. So making police administration more representative in character. Not only it is in keeping with democratic principles and values, but on the other hand, it holds ample potential to strengthen police administration to deal with crime against women. So not only it will make organization more representative in character, but it will bring a qualitative shift or change in overall response of police administration, because it will certainly help police administration to deal more effectively with crime against women. Then you have accountability and public relations. Then new code of conduct. So the code of conduct has to be code of conduct, what can be done and what cannot be done. So code of conduct has to be revised. has to revise, taking into consideration the contemporary situation and circumstances. One clear? And code of conduct is something from time to time it is required to be reviewed. What kind of conditions they are living in, what kind of developments which are taking place inside the organization and outside the organization, any kind of corruption or inefficiency, lack of objectivity, where you see the reflection of personal whims and fancies, if there is a undesirable shift or change in the pattern of response or behavior, accordingly code of conduct is required to be reviewed and required to be adjusted. Okay, redefined. New code of conduct, then addressing the issues of corruption, simple point, politicization and criminalization of police. So Padmanabh committee suggested that we have need to address this problem. Then Malimat committee, this committee was not appointed on police reform. This committee has a much broader terms of reference. It was related to criminal justice system. So while dealing with the criminal overhauling of the criminal justice system, as a part of the the recommendations, they suggested something for the police administration. So it was not on police reforms, but we have taken that portion which is related to police reforms. Okay. So separation of law and order from investigation, same point. Inquisitorial system, a judicial magistrate to oversee investigation to make it more effective, though it has not been accepted. But in France and Germany it is followed. So judicial magistrate to oversee police investigation. So at the very first instance, police investigation is made qualitatively sound. Okay, and that improves the chances of successful prosecution, successful and effective prosecution of the culprit or prosecution of the accused. Then you have police establishment, enhanced police powers. So enhanced police powers and accountability, police establishment board, हमने डिस्कस कर चुके, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी कमीशन और स्टेट सिक्योरिटी कमीशन. Then improved investigation standards. I have discussed improved investigation standards because that will make and mar the possibilities of the case, make and mar the case of the possibilities of getting justice. Clear? So improved investigation standard. If investigation standards is very low, so you cannot collect and convert raw evidences into prosecutable evidences. Point clear? So therefore, it will be difficult to seek justice, to ensure justice for the victim. Then you have modernizing laws and procedures, and then witness protection. Witness protection is also important. If witness protection is not there, witness goes hostile sometimes. Witness protection is not there, witnesses are eliminated. कितने सारे witness बदल गए, देखे आज तक पता नहीं चल रहा है कि सलमान खान ने मारा क्या था. उसने काले हिरण को मारा था कि कुत्ते को मारा था, वो सड़क पे गाड़ी चढ़ गई थी, क्या हुआ उन सब केस. कैसे बहुत सारे केसेस हैं, बीच में सुनने में आता है वो विटनेस है वो हॉस्टाइल हो गया, कुछ विटनेस गायब हो गए, कहाँ कुछ पता नहीं. इतने साल में अब तो बंद ही कर देना चाहिए, या तो पकड़ लो उसको या छोड़ दो, बेकार उस बेचारे को परेशान कर रहे हैं. पता ही नहीं चल पा रहा है. ये सब तमाशा चलता है. बहुत सारे केसेस हैं, आपको लॉयर्स जो है उनके पास बहुत सारी कहानियां होती है, वो बता देंगे आपको. ठीक है. सो विटनेस प्रोटेक्शन इज इंपॉर्टेंट. देन यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी, extension of police custody. So it's suggested that if required, given the nature of the case, extension of police custody should be resorted to. So we can improve it. Then you have Model Police Act. So Model Police Act, this is not the act which was enacted by the Parliament. Model Police Act, it was in response to the judgment of the Supreme Court in Prakash Singh, as I discussed the Prakash Singh versus Union of India case in 2006, when the Supreme Court issued 7 directives related to police reforms, and accordingly, an expert committee was constituted by the Government of India. An expert committee was constituted, and that committee suggested this Model Police Act. Model police, it's just a model police act. This is recommendatory nature, it's not a law to be enforced. Clear? So 2006 recommendatory document, they talked about functional autonomy for police. Then state police board, same thing, state police board. Then you have police accountability commission, police accountability commission. Then you have separation of investigation and law and order. Then improved service conditions, focus on human rights, training and development, legal advisors, this is the point which is not suggested anywhere. Legal advisors to district police and commissarates. So legal advisors to district police. So ultimately, things are to be pursued in the court of law. So legal advisors to district police is required. Why? Because that can improve the conviction rate. So giving proper legal advice to police administration, how to function, how to approach the case, so that the accused, they are prosecuted. They do not escape. They do not end up escaping the clutches of law. So to improve the conviction rate. So you have Modern Police Act, legal advisors, then community liaison groups. So this is basically about police-public relationship to be improved. And then you have Second Administrative Reforms Commission. It also suggested operational autonomy and accountability. Then State Security Commission, then a Police Establishment Board, same thing, Police Complaint Authority, the same thing. More or less, you'll find that 60 to 70% things are common, little bit of changes. That's why at the first instance I discussed all such things. So you don't have any problem. So separation of law and order. Everybody knows Law and Order Investigation Replacement of Police Act 1861 by Model Police Act 2006. Very simple. So why to continue with Indian Police Act 1861? So which was the law which was enacted during the British period, in keeping with the requirements of that time. Today things have undergone drastic changes. So we need a new law. Then you have improved training and service conditions. So to elevate the level of morale and motivation, modernization of police force, then community policing. Then you have community policing I have discussed. Then you have specialized investigation units. Again, to make investigation qualitatively, better placed, improved investigation. And improved investigation means better chances, a success in the case, to ensure that the one who has committed the crime ultimately gets the punishment. It depends heavily on quality of investigation. This point is clear. Now the last one, related to police reforms. This is also an important thing you should know. This is the 7 directives I was talking about. The landmark judgment of the Supreme Court in Pratap Singh versus Union of India. This is the directive which was issued by the police. So this is similar to the one that we have discussed. So 73% things are common. So Pratap Singh was the ex-DGP of Uttar Pradesh. He filed a public interest litigation in 1996. Seeking direction of Supreme Court to central state governments for what? For police reforms. In 2006, the judgment came and Supreme Court streamlined the necessity of pursuing police reforms, focusing on 7 directives to central and state governments. It aimed at giving greater autonomy to police and ensuring protection against political interference. It was in response to a PIL, public interest litigation, which was filed by Pratap Singh. What are the 7 directives? Simple, already we have discussed, nothing new. You have a State Security Commission, then you have a minimum tenure of DGP, we have discussed, then minimum tenure of other police officers like commissioners and joint commissioner, additional commissioners, then separation of investigations from law and order functions, Police Establishment Board, Police Complaints Authority, nothing new. And then one more thing here, National Security Commission suggested, Supreme Court suggested that there should be a National Security Commission to prepare a panel for selection and placement of chiefs of Central Police Organization. Central Police Organization, Central Reserve Police Force, Central Industrial Security Force, Assam Rifles, Border Security Force, then SSB, Sashastra Seema Bal, aisa kuch hai. So the chief should be, appointed. They should be selected, appointed on the basis of recommendations here. So National Security Commission to prepare a panel for selection and placement of chiefs of Central Police Organization. So this is about police reforms. सारा डिस्कस कर लिए पुलिस रिफॉर्म्स. सो नेशनल पुलिस कमीशन, वहाँ से शुरुआत है नेशनल पुलिस कमीशन. इसके अलावा भी बहुत सारी कमीशन हैं, बट द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट वंस आई हैव डिस्कस्ड. ठीक है, तो फाइनली द सम टोटल ऑफ दैट, इन जनरल दे टॉक अबाउट स्टेट सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल, State Security Council or Commission, then Police Establishment Board, separation of investigation from law and order, then insulating police administration against political interference, clear, then improvement in police infrastructure, improving service conditions for the policemen, Clear? So these are the basic things. The very basic. Then improved accountability and control mechanism. Then judicial inquiry against police excesses. Some kind of means and mechanism to enforce accountability, control, and to exercise vigilance. So these are some basic things, the basic things which have been suggested as a part of police reforms. So they converge on these points, including the Supreme Court. That's the point. Clear? And from other point of view, if you want to bring everything within the bounds of it, then focus on the tool of analysis that I discussed, that for reforms is structural dimension, procedural dimension, behavioral dimension, then legal dimension within the bounds of which police functioning, and then external, police and public, police and political leadership, police and judiciary. Lot many things are there. I hope the point is clear. So, enough for the day. Thank you. Thank you very much.